Welcome to this explainer. When we decide to get healthy, we almost always zoom right in on our own habits, right? But today we're unpacking a massive, basically invisible global infrastructure that dictates worldwide health and nutrition. There's this vast, interconnected ecosystem operating completely behind the scenes just to make our healthy choices possible. So, what actually drives the global wellness revolution? They usually think of wellness as this intensely personal thing, tracking sleep, reducing toxins, tweaking our diets. But who's actually responsible for keeping the global food supply safe? Or, mapping out the nutritional needs of entire populations? Well, it turns out there is a fascinating, heavy-hitting network of organizations dedicated entirely to this exact mission.
All right, let's map this out. We're going to start with the wellness revolution itself, move on to the United Nations heavyweights, and then explore global standards and policy. After that, we'll look at the research engine driving all of this, examine humanitarian crisis response, and finally, wrap up by seeing how these groups collaborate for the future.
Section 1. The Wellness Revolution, a global network. Moving right along to Section 2. The UN heavyweights eradicating hunger. When we look at the absolute giants of the nutrition world, two major UN players often get confused. Let's clear that up. The FAO, that's the Food and Agriculture Organization, they're playing the long game. They provide the research and guidance on sustainable agriculture to ensure food security for years to come. Conversely, the WFP, the World Food Program, well, they're the emergency responders. They're out there delivering crucial, immediate food aid in over 80 countries. So together, they tackle both the crises of today and the sustainability of tomorrow.
Adding to this heavyweight team, we've got groups making sure all these moving parts actually work together. The World Food Council is an independent organization that conducts research and advocacy to advance global food security and sustainable systems. And then you have the USCN, the United Nations Standing Committee on Nutrition. Think of them as a vital interagency platform. They align policies and programs across all sorts of different UN agencies and NGOs, basically making sure the global right hand knows exactly what the left hand is doing.
Section 3. Standards and Policy. Ensuring food safety. Now, to make sure our global food supply is actually safe and nutritious, different alliances tackle different challenges. Groups like the Global Food Safety Initiative bring industry leaders together to build really rigorous safety standards. Then you have the SUN movement, which stands for Scaling Up Nutrition, and their whole job is rallying governments and businesses specifically to reduce malnutrition. Completing the picture, we have the Global Alliance for the Future of Food, focusing on the long-term sustainability of this entire massive system.
And guiding absolutely all of these policies is one foundational document, the Global Nutrition Report. It's produced annually by independent experts, and it provides a comprehensive, purely data-driven blueprint that helps shape nutrition policies all across the globe.
Section 4. The Research Engine, Data, and Discovery.
The sheer diversity of the research backing these policies is honestly incredible. On one end, you have groups like IFPRI focusing on overarching agricultural policy, while the Global Burden of Disease study tracks massive worldwide health trends. But this engine also includes hyper-focus groups. Take the ISRHML, which is dedicated entirely to researching human milk and infant nutrition, or the AVRDC, the World Vegetable Center, researching how specific crops can improve livelihoods in developing nations.
And these scientific organizations truly span the entire globe. You have the American Society for Nutrition in the US, ISPN, focusing on clinical nutrition over in Europe, and the Food and Nutrition Research Institute in the Philippines. Meanwhile, the International Life Sciences Institute, or ILSI, works globally to bridge the gap between academia, government, and industry. They are constantly funding clinical research to keep our global health standards cutting edge.
Of course, this research engine also has to pivot to tackle pressing modern crises. A great example is the World Obesity Federation. It's a global organization dedicating its entire focus to understanding and combating the worldwide obesity epidemic. It perfectly illustrates how this global infrastructure has to adapt, in real time, to the most urgent health trends of our era.
Section 5. Crisis Response. Humanitarian Action.
Long-term planning is absolutely essential. But what happens when disaster actually strikes? This is where the humanitarian arm steps in. The Global Food Security Cluster acts kind of like a dispatcher, coordinating the emergency response so aid actually gets where it needs to go. Organizations like Action Against Hunger are right there on the ground in conflict zones, while groups like GAIN USA focus heavily on securing nutrition for vulnerable populations globally.
Crucially,
Specialized groups like Nutrition International focus on a very specific, silent danger: hidden hunger. This happens when people might be getting enough calories to simply survive, but they completely lack the vital vitamins and minerals required for actual health. This group works specifically to eliminate that hidden hunger among the world's most vulnerable people.
Section 6. Collaborating for the future. Joining forces.
As our source material brilliantly summarizes, these organizations represent a small sample of the nutrition organizations operating around the world. The more they collaborate, the quicker the wellness revolution will become a reality. Because honestly, no single entity can fix global health. It is this massive, intricate web, sharing data, aligning policies, and funding mutual goals, that truly makes the wellness revolution possible. So, having seen the sheer scale of this global effort, I want to leave you with this to ponder. We started by noting that wellness feels intensely personal to us. But knowing there is an entire global infrastructure researching human metabolism, setting safety standards, and stabilizing agriculture, how does that invisible network actually shape the food you eat and your own personal path to wellness? Keep that in mind next time you think about what wellness truly means.